You know, this isn't just some nice-sounding quote. It's really a promise. It suggests that the ability to truly inspire people, to lead, it isn't some magical gift you're born with. It's a pattern. And if it's a pattern, it means we can learn it. It means we can copy it.
To really get this, we've got to start with a bit of a mystery. It's a story about a man who had every single advantage you could possibly imagine. I mean, every ingredient for success was handed to him on a silver platter. He was basically set up to win. And yet, he failed spectacularly.
So the guy we're talking about is Samuel Pierpont Langley. Back in the early 1900s, he wanted to be the first person to fly an airplane. And just look at his recipe for success. He had a $50,000 grant from the government. That was a fortune back then. He put together a dream team, literally the best minds money could buy. He had powerful friends like Andrew Carnegie and Alexander Graham Bell. The press was all over him, following his every move. His success, well, it seemed like a done deal.
So you look at all that, and on paper, he couldn't lose. But yeah, reality had other plans. His flying machine crashed right into the Potomac River. And then, can you believe it? After they fished it out and fixed it, it crashed again. So everyone was left scratching their heads. Why?
Now get this, while all of that's happening at pretty much the exact same time, there's a completely different story unfolding just a few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio. A story with none of the funding, none of the fame, but it was powered by something else entirely.
Just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? On one side, you've got Langley. He was driven by the desire for fame and fortune. His team, they were experts, sure, but they were paid to be there. Then you've got the Wright brothers, running a little bike shop. Their team wasn't there for a paycheck. They were a group of volunteers. They showed up because they believed in the dream of flight. They were fueled by a vision of how they could change the world, and that passion, that's the kind of fuel that money just can't buy.
And this really gets to the heart of the puzzle, doesn't it? Both teams were motivated. Both had brilliant people and a really strong work ethic. They were chasing the exact same goal. So how in the world did the underdogs, the guys with none of the advantages, pull off one of the greatest achievements in history?
And here's the answer. It wasn't some fluke. It wasn't just luck. The difference maker wasn't what they were doing or even how they were doing it. It all came down to why. The Wright brothers were driven by a purpose, a cause, a belief buried deep inside them. And that was their fuel when everything else should have made them quit.
And the thing is, the story of the Wright brothers, it's not a one-off. This pattern, this incredible power of starting with why, you see it pop up again and again with the most inspiring leaders and movements in history. Let's look at another revolution to see exactly how this works.
Let's talk about Apple. For Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, their why wasn't just to build computers. No, their why was to empower the individual, to challenge the big, faceless corporation. And their weapon in that fight was the personal computer. And that belief, that core mission, it just fueled this insane growth. I mean, look at this timeline. $1 million in revenue to $1 billion company in just 6 years.
But here's what makes Apple's story so powerful. It wasn't just about the growth. It was their ability to do it over and over again. They didn't just sell a product. They started a revolution. They got people to believe in their cause of challenging the status quo. And because we believed in their why, we followed them from computers to music to phones. We weren't just buying products. We were joining a movement.
250,000. Just think about that number for a second. 250,000 people. In the summer of '63, they all showed up in Washington, D.C. But here's the amazing part. There were no invites sent out. There was no website with an RSVP. They came because they all shared the same belief. They didn't show up just for Martin Luther King Jr., the man. They showed up for themselves, for what they believed America could be. Dr. King, he just gave a voice to the why that was already inside of them.
And that brings us to this idea. This quote really just nails it. There are leaders and there are those who lead. Langley, he had the title, the authority. He was a leader. But the Wright brothers, Apple, Dr. King, they lead. They don't have to command us or force us. They inspire us to act. We act not because we have to, but because we actually want to.
So let's kind of pull back the curtain and look at how this actually works, because there's a huge difference between motivating people and inspiring them. On the surface, they might look the same, but underneath, they're running on completely different operating systems.
Okay, so look on the left. You've got motivation. That's all external stuff, right? The carrot and the stick, bonuses, price drops, fear of getting in trouble. And hey, it works for a little while. But then look at the right, inspiration. That's internal. That comes from a feeling of purpose, of belonging to something bigger than yourself. It doesn't just get you to comply, it creates this deep-seated loyalty, this passion that you just can't manufacture with a paycheck.
This is it. This is the force we're talking about. It's that sense of purpose or belonging that has almost nothing to do with any external reward. This is what pushed the Wright brothers to keep trying after every single crash. It's what gets people to camp out overnight for a new Apple product. It's what brought all those people to Washington. It's not a transaction, it's a deep human connection to a cause. And here's why all of this really matters for you. Have you ever felt that? That feeling of disconnect? Like you're doing all the right things, you're checking all the boxes at work or in life, but at the end of the day, you still feel unfulfilled? That little nagging feeling? That is so often a sign that your why is missing.
And you're not alone in feeling that, not by a long shot. The reality is, a staggering 80% of us don't have our dream job. Think about that. The vast majority of people get up every day and aren't truly inspired by what they do. They know what their job is and they know how to do it, but they've lost track of why it matters. But what if we could change that?
So this whole conversation, it's not just a history lesson about famous leaders. It's really about a completely different way of looking at our own lives, our own work, and our own ability to lead right where we are.
The takeaway from all of this isn't a to-do list, not some 5-step plan for success. It's not about what to do, it's about something much deeper. The goal is to offer you a cause of action. It's about finding that fundamental reason, that purpose, that belief, the why that's going to fuel everything else you do. It's about finding your cause. So, from this moment on, whatever you do next, whether you're building a company, leading a project, or just trying to figure out your own next chapter, ask the most important question first. From now on, start with why.